Hi, it's Betsy. Thanks for being here for our 30-minute all levels yoga class. This week's theme is about taking up space, owning all of the space that is so deserved by each of us. And so I literally want you to take up a good amount of space. Stand on your yoga mat. Take your feet as wide apart as feels good to you. Point your toes straight ahead. Point your heels straight back. Extend your arms out. Turn your palms up. Lift your chest a little bit. Say to yourself, I deserve this space. I am enough. Little affirmations. They can be cheesy, but they really can help. Forward fold. Take your hands down, your head down. Give it a little bit of shake. And then come all the way back up to standing. Bring your feet closer in. Maybe outer hip distance apart. And lift your arms all the way up to the sky. Exhale, release your arms down and out. One more time, inhale, lift both arms up to the sky, look up. And look just straight ahead. And take your right hand to your hip. And take your left arm up and a little bit over. And then come back to the center. Take both arms up. Bring the opposite hand now down to your waist. Reach up and a little bit over. Side body stretch. And then come back to the center. Both arms go high. And exhale, arms out and down. Okay. Come down onto your yoga mat. Transition to all fours. Place the hands underneath your shoulders and the knees about underneath the hips. Cat and cow. Move the spine back and forth. For me, yoga, the movement practice within yoga, is about finding ways that feel good, that help us to feel better in our bodies, and that help us to take up space. Keep going in cat and cow. Pull the chest forward and through, eyes and tailbone up. Press down through the hands and knees, round the back, drop the head. Create as much space and movement in between the spaces as possible here. As much movement as feels good. And then come back to a neutral position. Separate the knees wide, big toes together, and press your hips back towards your heels. Reach the arms out long in front of you in child's pose. For me, that thought of being enough, of taking up space just as I am, means I don't always have to strive. Let this position be an example of that. Try to go into child's pose and then give yourself about 20 seconds to just be here. You're not trying to do anything else. This is worthy. And we will add on a little more. Walk the hands out and then over to the right side. Walk the hands back across your center and over to the left side. And back to the middle. Come up to all fours. Okay, so usually all fours, we've started with our shoulder, back of the wrist, right underneath each other. Take this longer. Move the hands out a full handprint further. So you should have an angle from the shoulder to the back of the wrist now. Look at your hands, spread all 10 fingers very wide apart. And try to put a little more pressure into the horseshoe of the hand, the thumb and the first finger. That portion of the hand presses down a little more firmly than the rest. Tuck the toes and lift your hips up and back for downward facing dog. And pedal out the feet. So it's the sense of putting pressure in one place so that the rest of the body can stay lengthened and full. So there's a little more pressure, thumb and first finger. So the wrist, shoulders feel a little better. We get more length through the spine. Now take your feet back a little further than you first started and wider, as wide as your yoga mat. With your feet as wide as your yoga mat, keep pressing down, thumb and first finger, and try to lift in your shoulders and your spine. And maybe it's like a rock forward and back a little bit so that you get that intention. Maybe a little bend in the knees and then a straightening of the legs. Play in the practice enough and keep taking up the space of your yoga mat. And then take a nice deep bend in the knees and walk your hands all the way back to your feet. And do ragdoll pose here. Hold on to your elbows. Sway a little bit from side to side. Let a couple of breaths out through the mouth. Like a heavy sigh. Let it go. And slowly roll up to standing. Roll the shoulders up and back a couple of times. And roll the shoulders forward and down a couple of times. Okay, stand on your mat where you have enough space to stretch your arms all the way out without touching anything. Maybe even enough to rotate like this, side to side. Okay? Release the arms down. Give it a little bit of a shake. Try to let go of what you think maybe a yoga practice should look like and just kind of move with it today. Do what feels right to you. And I'm going to ask you to keep taking the room for the practice. Bend your knees just a tiny bit and then sweep the arms all the way up. Like powerfully sweep the arms up. And then exhale, powerfully dive down and forward. And you can bend your knees a lot so that that's easier. Feels good on the body. Bring your hands up to your thighs and extend from your hips out to the crown of the head. If you're to the side view, it looks like an L shape. And then bend the knees a lot so that you can drape back down over the thighs. Now inhale, stand up, sweep the arms to the side and all the way up to the sky. And then exhale, sweep the arms to the side and down. Let's do this a couple of times. Inhale, big sweep up. Exhale, big sweep down. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, big sweep up. Release the arms down by your side. Cool. Start to feel the sort of fire within you Take hold. Let's do it one more time. Simple movements. Inhale, big sweep up. Exhale, forward fold. If you get dizzy at all doing this, just keep your chin lifted and your eye gaze forward the whole time. It works. Inhale, half lift. And then fold. Big sweep up. Stay standing and release the arms down by your side. Good. Let's add in a few more movements. If not already, come to the top of your yoga mat. Again, inhale, big sweep up. Exhale, bend the knees and fold forward. Half lift. Now, step back to plank position. It looks like the top of a push-up. And it can take some time, right? Take some time, take the space to find your top of the push-up. This practice doesn't have to happen in just one smooth swipe here and there. It's not about that. Hold the space, hold the pose. And then lower flat down against your yoga mat. Try to fly, hands back, reach everything that you can up. Big full breath. Release it down. Change to downward facing dog. Again, take the time, take the space for your pose. And look forward in between the hands and make your way there. Step, walk. Some folks like to jump, whatever works. Half lift. Forward fold. Sweep high. Sweep the arms out and down. Okay, let's add on a little bit more. Lift up. And down. Half lift. Step back to plank. Lower flat to your mat. This time keep the hands here. Press into your feet and hands. Squeeze the elbows close into the side and lift your chest. Shoulders up and back. Proudly lift the chest. As you lower back down, change to child's pose for a moment. And then walk both hands a little bit over to the left side. Come up and step the right foot forward into a low lunge. The hands can come in, again, closer to the front foot now. Tuck the back toes and lift the knee. Okay, I want the left hand to be so broad that it's off of your yoga mat. And then lean into the left hand a little bit so that you can take the right hand up and twist. Lower the right hand down. Spin the back heel down. 2 flat feet. Maybe you've lined up heel to heel so that your hip distance when you stand up, and extend the arms out by the side. Keep the shoulders lined up over the hips. So we're thinking of this like a container from the pelvis up to the top of the head, all stacked right over one another. Full, big container right there. Stay here. Breathe here. This pose is worthy. You are worthy. Taking the time for this practice, worthy. Lower the hands down, spin the back heel up and lower the knee. Okay, we sit all the way back to child's pose. And then walk the hands over to the right side. Once that's happening, you lift up, step the left foot forward. Hands can come a little closer in so that you can change to your low lunge. Take the right hand off of your yoga mat. So I'm using a lot of width. And then lift the left arm up. And then in this twist, I'm hoping that it feels pretty broad, pretty open. Lower the left hand back down. Spin the right heel to the ground. About heel to heel in alignment. Feet can be wider apart as wanted. And come upright. Extend the arms out in either direction. Just be really broad with this position, with this pose. Set the feet, the legs in the way that feels good to you. That is proper alignment, when it feels right. Lower the hands back down. Pick up the back heel, set the knee down. And we just kind of take our time to pad back through into child's pose. Lift your torso upright and shift the knees together. So I'm going to sit on flat feet here. Another option, if it feels better to you, try tucked toes. It's more intense in the flex in the toes, and yet less intense in the stretch of the ankle. So whichever position works best for you. Interlace the hands, flip, and reach up. And if you're thinking, Betsy, neither one of those positions feels great, well, take up a little more space. Usually more space, like this kneeling position, ends up feeling pretty darn good. Don't close yourself off. And then release. Let's all make our way back to kneeling and then back to standing. I want us to try to remember that these transitions need not be like one smooth movement. Just kind of get up, make room for yourself. How is it going to work? And then again, take a wide stance. Okay? Bend your knees. And then forward. Shoulders right over the back of the wrist. Keep the arms straight, but it's a nice bend in the knees and then a shift of the weight backwards into our heels. This is kind of one of my favorite things these days, so you see it in a lot of classes. Just like that steadiness that goes into the legs, but then right hands out to your side and look how much room you can get. Can you lift the right hand high? And then lower it down. Take the left hand out to the side. Keep the bend in the knees, the shift of the weight back in the legs, and lift the left hand as high as it'll go. Like that's almost a 180 wingspan. Do you have that? I just think that's cool. Lower the hand down. I'm always amazed with the body. It's a good thing, since this is what I do. Come all the way back up. Step your feet in, give it a little bit of a shake. Keeping this thought of expansion, let's do a standing balance pose. Stand on your right leg. And before you do anything, think of your right leg like a column. And stack about ankle, knee, hip, pretty much right on top of each other. Column, that structure is steady. Lift up on your kneecap, tone your quad. Let the other leg, maybe a little lift and lower here so you find and play with that balance. One thing, maybe you have a chair or something nearby. Feel free to use it. I'm going to show you how that would work today. Okay. So I'm using the chair for a little support in my balance. Chair, wall, anything. If you want, have that there. And then place. Place the leg for tree pose. I'm going high because I've got the extra support of the chair, and so that works. If I didn't have the chair, maybe I'm going to stay a little bit lower. Free hand, maybe both hands, and maybe it's a little tap back and forth. What is it that you need? You could even cinch your way hip against the chair or wall. Find a way to be full, expansive in tree pose. Keep your arms wider than you might usually today. Just kind of play with what that means. Okay, come on down. Give it a go on the second side. I'll shift this away. Stand on the other leg. Again, a nice solid column. That is your foundation, that is your support. Get strong in your center as well, as if the abdominal muscles are squeezing in, hugging around. And you keep that sense of safety and security, and lift the leg. Maybe some helpful hand. Focus on something out in front of you that's not going to move or change. Extend the arms. Maybe they're all the way out. Where do you want it to be? Keep breathing. Consciously breathing. And then lower it down. Give it a little bit of a shake. Okay, one more thing standing. This one's easy. Feet outer hip distance apart, hands to your hips. It's easy in terms of the structure of the position. Because there's not a whole lot more to do, sometimes it's not that easy. Literally, take the arms down by your side, turn the palms in a little bit for today. Take your eye gaze forward, maybe close the eyes. If that gives you even the least bit of dizziness, pop the eyes back open. It's like a wider base for mountain pose. How does that feel to you? Ooh, my knees were a little locked out. Remember to keep just a little gentle bend behind the knees, even when they're lifted, even when we've toned in the quad muscles. Mountain pose, Tadasana. This is our pose. It doesn't need to be more. It's worthy right here. It's a practice right here. Stand tall. Stand wide. Open the eyes again if they were closed and wiggle it out a little bit. I film in my home. You're likely watching this from your home. You might hear the giggle of some little girls downstairs. I think it's all wonderful. But if you're wondering what that background is, it's my daughters. All right, take a seat. The ebb and flow of pandemic life, right? We all try to find our own space and our own way to find room to be in each and every day. Whether it's one room, one yoga mat, one house, we all have to find ways to make ourselves be seen, be heard by ourselves and those around us. I love that I get to hear my daughter even as I get to do my work. A little aside, but it makes a lot of sense for this. So just sit up tall, cross-legged here, and then slowly twist in one direction. And come across the center and twist in the opposite direction, the second side. And then come back to the center. Okay, so I am sitting on the long side of my mat. I'd suggest doing the same thing and sit your butt at the back end of the mat and then open up your legs. They might be off of the mat, but they're kind of trying to go out towards the corners in a straddle position. If this is something that works for you, keep the feet on the mat. So just as wide as works. This can surely happen with a little bend in the knees. Sometimes, like I've got some blankets that are held back here. Blankets, towels can work. I'll shove a blanket underneath each thigh to help give support. Or you take and sit up so that your throne gets a little bit higher. Your butt is sitting higher up, and then it might be easier to stretch the legs straighter or wider. So you're kind of finding what works there. This is important. We're taking a little time to find it because this is where we're ending today. Take the arms out in front of you once you've found your straddle and just gently walk forward a little bit. So I want your starting point to be pretty easy, manageable. Give yourself some breath. And then walk out just a little bit more. And your little bit more might be like a centimeter change, an inch change, maybe a whole foot. It's just where are you at? It is enough. Okay. Is there any more there? Do you want any more? And then one more time. Maybe you're backing off instead of going forward this time. Where can you find a position to hold that is well enough for about 60 seconds, about 1 minute? Can your head release a bit? Close the eyes or turn the gaze low. Relax the muscles in the legs. Relax the tension in your face and your neck and your shoulders. And then slowly rise back up. Move the legs back into a cross-legged seat. Or maybe it's a different seat. However feels okay to you here. And take the hands palms down along your thighs and just bow the chin, giving gratitude to yourself Thank you for taking the time, creating the space for this yoga practice here in our final week before Election Day. Be good to yourself. Remember, the space that you have, the space that you create, matters. Your voice matters. Be the change you want to be. Thank you all. Namaste.